Welcome everybody to episode 98 of the ADV podcasts, and we're here to talk about the continuing situation in the Ukraine and China's roles, very specifically China's role in all of this. But of course, we're not just going to discuss that. We've got a lot to talk about on the show. It's going to be a very important one, but also a little bit lighthearted when we can afford it. So shall we get started?
Let's do it. 98 was a great year, by the way.
98?
It's probably one of my favorite years.
Windows 98 came out, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm more of a Windows 95 guy, but...
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, it's another story for another time.
Yeah, now it's What's New time, where we talk about what's new in China. Okay, and we're going to start out with a bit of humor. I don't know if you guys remembered last week. We're going to show you a little something. Remember we showed you this? Can you explain what this was all about first?
So this was about a live stream. So in China, basically what happens is they go on live stream and sell products. And in this case, this girl was selling durian.
Which you said everybody will know, and tons of people said they don't know.
Oh, well, if they know, they should know, because it's a very common fruit.
No, they shouldn't know.
They're called the king of fruit.
No, only in Asia.
Yeah, but people know it here. You can buy durian at the frickin' supermarket.
Yeah, but how many people did you meet in China that were from America and stuff? The first time they'd ever tried it was in China.
Oh, I mostly met foreigners in Thailand that tried it for the first time. More common there.
Well,
anyway, it doesn't matter.
The whole point is, like, not everybody knows durian.
I agree. I understand. I stand corrected. Anyway, so they know now.
Yeah, it's a very big, very it's got spikes all over it, and it smells awful. It's stinky.
It smells like rotten onions.
Yeah, it kind of smells like a public bathroom too.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Tastes great.
Yeah, a lot of people love the way it tastes.
I love it.
I don't. A lot
like
of people
custard.
they're like, yeah, it's got that texture, but it's a lot of people recoil.
It's very sweet.
And it's what I would call an acquired taste.
I think it's
just
just the smell that's bad, and that's what affects the taste. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not the point of this video. The point is the huge live streaming industry in China means that there are people, usually females, selling products. The reason is because, it's the appeal of a cute girl dancing around trying to sell something. They get a lot more sales that way.
Yeah.
Now, what happened here was that every single one of them, as you've seen, because you've seen the live streaming industry in China, they use face filters.
Yeah, you
right?
don't get, there's no natural beauties out there. So yeah.
They basically turn these women's faces into aliens, right?
Well, you can see it with the guy in the background.
So that's the joke of the video is this poor guy in the background is getting face filtered as she goes in and out of dancing. And so we'll just play this first clip again.
Yeah, because we've got a follow-up, so let's take a look.
一行链接榴莲，榴莲签词儿，榴莲签词儿，到手有2个，59.9块9，到手有2个，捧臭，吃着很好吃。
Yeah, whoops. So here we have a follow-up.
I just can't believe it, but more of the same, really, except this time 2 poor souls in the background, 2 different guys.
Yeah.
Suffering the face filter failure as she again goes into this bizarre no music backing song.
Yeah, that is strange to me, but I really like it, and that's because we don't get a copyright claim.
That's very true.
You know what it could be, quite
There's
honestly?
no beat, though.
When I went to that live streaming house, all right, the software that they had on the computers, you sing the song, okay, but the song doesn't play there. It plays to the audience. So it's separated.
Oh, yeah, but this is someone screen recording this live stream.
I get it, but maybe there's a fault somewhere there.
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway,
again, twice in a row.
Let's just show it.
Ready, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. 1号链接，扩约，138米。Oh my god.
His name.
I mean, I love the little oh my god that she keeps throwing in.
I actually cringe out real bad when the novelty English comes out. You got that, right? Like people just shout like hello at you in China on the street.
But you don't understand. You've been misunderstanding it all this time because that's China's most popular joke. Because every time you walk around along the road and you hear like it's normally an uncle or whatever sitting on the side, he'll go, hello, hello. and you say hi,
sorry.
and then they all start laughing, like him and his whole
the
crowd.
funniest thing in the entire world.
It is literally China's funniest joke. So we're just misunderstanding it. Maybe
we are.
hello is actually like an ancient joke.
Yeah.
And we're just mishearing.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Dude, hello is how they write hello
I
as
know.
well in Cantonese. sometimes.
Hello, and then you go hi, and they're like,
Yeah, and everyone else starts packing up. So there must be something we're missing out.
actually, this is good. This can be a good little separate video for this because there's some good context here.
Yeah.
That is one thing if you're in China is that you will hear the haloa. The haloa is something that will be shouted at you, and again, everyone laughs about it, right? But some other things, and this is why I was cringing out, was she was busting out some of the other stereotypical English that you'll hear, the novelty English I call it, where the Chinese person doesn't speak English, but they know a couple catchphrases, and they'll say like, "Okay, baby."
Yeah, they love
"Hello,
that.
baby."
Yeah.
Right? Like not in a flirty way.
Yeah, just because they think it's cool. When I was teaching kindergarten, the kids had one of the kids had a pencil box. I took a photo of it, and it has like a cow tripping over a rock, and it says, "Oh my God."
Right.
Oh my God, cow.
Oh my God, cow.
Yes.
That was like a brand.
It was. Oh my God, cow. So I thought it was kind of funny.
They do that. Oh my God. Oh my God. They always say that to you.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, okay. Like, but and I'm not, by the way, I'm not making fun of the accent. What I'm doing is telling you what you're going to hear on the street being shouted at you.
Sure.
With no context.
Yep.
What do you say back to that? You just reply in Chinese and you say like, oh, 我会讲中文.
Yeah.
不用说 oh my God. 不用说
I don't want to ruin their fantasy.
No, for sure. You're not mean about it, but it does get tiresome when people are
yes.
shouting haloa at you and oh my God, let's go baby.
Yeah,
Headshot.
sure. I think it's worse when
You
they...
got headshot?
No, I haven't had headshot.
I got headshot. It's from like Counter-Strike or whatever FPS games.
I just don't like it when they speak to you in that mocking accent.
Yeah,
Howdy.
in Chinese. That's
Yeah.
the worst. Is when they when they think you don't speak Chinese.
Yeah.
So they think that if they put some bizarre, what they think a foreign accent on it, you're gonna understand.
I found
it
out
better.
where that's from. There was like a comedy skit,
Oh.
which was about like speaking to foreigners, and they used that like mocking weird accent.
It's
and everyone
super
just,
patronizing.
Yeah, it's terrible. Howdy, okay,
Yeah, and they'll be like, if you're like, you can speak fluently too.
yeah.
You can like be looking at a menu or something, and then you're like, oh, no, 这里的特色是什么东西? Like, what is the specialty here? And they'll be like, 你要吃什么东西? And you're like, what is this?
For me, it was always when we're at the 7-Eleven or whatever, a convenience store, Bienli Dian, buying something, and there'll always be an uncle there, and he's like, okay,
Yeah,
howdy.
it's not usually younger people.
Yeah,
it's
you're
some
you're trying to buy
56-year-old
something,
uncle, Yeah,
It's like, 多少钱? It's like, 10块的.
yeah.
You know
it
what
makes
I mean?
it harder to
Yeah.
understand.
It's annoying. Anyway,
Yeah.
we really backtracked.
That's
off what
okay.
we-
It's a little
Yeah.
cultural thing.
So we got to bring you up to speed. Last week we exposed the very out there in the open connection between Chinese propaganda and Russian propaganda. Okay, and how the two work together. So in other words, RT, Russia Today, as it was formerly known as, CGTN, they have the same people, the same anchors appearing on both state media. They have the same people being interviewed on both state media, and they do a lot of collaboration between the two. We'll show you a little later on that now that RT's been blocked in some countries, some of the shills are actually now boosting RT stuff which can't be shown. So they're putting it on their channels.
One thing we'd like to point out is in this hullabaloo of this crazy invasion, YouTube, Google, a bunch of news networks and stuff have not only just banned RT, but on YouTube they were demonetized, right?
Demonetized,
So they pulled the monetization because of misinformation. Clearly a lot of Russian propaganda behind Russian state media, obviously, and the invasion. But as Winston was saying, we discovered this bizarre connection. I shouldn't say bizarre, very well established connection between state media, between Chinese state media and Russian state media. And I don't want this to go over your head because I think it's really important for you to understand that there's a cooperative goal here. When we found Chinese state media blatantly interviewing the same people on the same topics as Russia was doing on their own state media and vice versa, and then having amplifier channels, so other channels removing watermarks to post the exact same stuff, there was a common incentivized goal for both states to come together and endorse the same media. And it's not something you want to see.
No.
You don't want to see two sources of misinformation coming together, state-sponsored wise. So like you said, we saw some of the same pro-China, pro-CCP shills.
Yeah.
that get paid or endorsed by the Chinese government appear on Russian state media.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
So we have a little clip view of one of China's, what did he call himself? A political commentator.
Something like that.
Okay, a massive tanky who supports the CCP and is a sycophant and
and actually has tried to destroy our lives.
Yeah, awful man.
And I do want to say this person that you're about to see has actively mobilized people to try and destroy our lives.
Yeah.
Absolutely despicable and horrific. If you have any, if you go out there and have a look at any of the stuff he's put out, I reckon he's tweeted about us over 1,000 times now.
Maybe 1,000 times a month.
And that, I'm not exaggerating, though. You might think I'm like, oh, maybe 10. No, 1,000.
Yeah.
1,000. And multiple dedicated videos with complete lies.
Correct.
And misinformation. So
taking things out of context and just trying his absolute best to tie us to anti-Asian hate attacks.
Oh, yeah. Like crazy shit. The reason I'm saying this is that I want you to have some context when you understand what type or what caliber of person that the Chinese government hires.
Yes.
And then them appearing on Russian state media is like super crazy, like a mind trip.
Well, no, it's not. It's very understandable because the goal of these tankies and these CCP sycophants, the people that sell their souls to the CCP, is to further this agenda of the communist countries and the whole. They're very anti-West and they're very pro anything that's not West. So that's why you see them on these channels. So anyway, we found a quick little interview that we thought we'd show you. Interesting interview between a CCP sycophant who's appeared on Chinese state media and press conferences and stuff, genocide denier, all that kind of nonsense. And we found him with George Galloway, which of course we all know is
works for Russian state media.
Guy who works for RT, as you can see the RT logo up in the corner. So let's take a quick look, shall we?
His name is Daniel Dumbrill.
Well, I think that, and first of all, thanks for having me on your show. I'm a very big fan of what you do as well.
Now, would you like me to be the cat?
Yes. More tickles on the back, yes. Yes, a good pussycat. Yes, a good pussycat, yes. Good pussycat. Good girl. Good girl. Now lick your lips, I've got cream all over your whiskers. Yes, good pussycat. Good pussycat, that's better. Oh, what a good kitty. Trying day with all those people coming into the house.
Thanks for having me on your show. I'm a very big fan of what you do.
Sir, I salute your courage, your strength, your indefatigability. I can honestly tell you that there was not a single person to whom I told I was coming to Iraq and hoping to meet with yourself who did not wish me to convey their heartfelt, fraternal greetings and support.
And I take my hat off to your work.
Thanks very much.
Talk shows.
Thanks for having me on your show. I'm a very big fan of what you do.
So,
just to explain, for some people might be confused. Can you put George Galloway in the background?
I will. Let me find the absolute best, most flattering picture I can.
No, this was a joke, obviously, the joke edit. But he really did interview Daniel, by the way. This is a real interview. We just cut in his hilarious Big Brother performance. So for some reason, okay, George Galloway, real quick rundown. Ex-MP of Scotland, UK. Very interesting character. Well-known tanky, so someone who endorses authoritarianism.
Yeah.
He went on Celebrity Big Brother for some reason and pretended to be a cat and drinking milk out of someone's hands.
I still don't get it, but it's disturbing. It's actually disturbing.
Some people are a big fan of his work. But anyway, so it was interesting to see them both interviewing each other, and we did a little digging. George Galloway has denied Tiananmen Square.
He's an anti-Semite. Yeah.
And to top it off, went to go meet Saddam Hussein, which that was not a doctored video.
No.
To go say that he admires him.
Yeah, and he supports Saddam Hussein.
Yes.
So it makes sense that a tanky, disgusting, sycophant, obsessed stalker weirdo like this guy would endorse him and say that he's a big fan of his work. Because these kind of people do admire authoritarianism, and they admire these terrible dictators who are willing to gas children and crush people.
One thing I've noticed, and I'm talking about both of these guys.
And they admire each other. You see, Galloway said he takes his hat off to him. That's not doctored that he said that.
No.
because they work with each other, and it's like this funny little echo chamber that they run around in.
So one thing I've noticed with these types, you know, the tanky pro-authoritarian types, is that they love, and I'm not trying to do this stupid thing where they putting words in people's mouths, but they do seem to be very attracted to tragedy.
Yes.
And war crimes, things like this. So what they'll do is they'll use whataboutism to say, look at how bad America is for doing all these atrocious things, right? Pretending like reasonable people like us don't call those things out, pretending like we support
Endorse
that
it or
somehow.
something, yeah.
And then also at the same time ignoring the invasion of the Soviet Union invasion of Afghanistan. Ignoring Saddam Hussein's, you know, war crimes and genocide against his own people and his own country. These things, completely ignoring them and celebrating that leadership. It's very bizarre, and it looks like they love that kind of thing.
Yeah, they love tragedy. They love war. They love showing children being burnt. And things like they just love it. It's like they get off on this stuff. It's awful. If you ever follow any of these guys,
it's
all
villainous.
They can ever do is show death and tragedy and always trying to blame it on somebody. Whenever something's brought up that they support, in other words,
bombing nuclear power stations.
Yeah, when you bring up the Russian invasion of Ukraine and say it's unjust, they don't even reply to that. They talk about what America did in the 60s or the Iraq War or WMDs or whatever the hell.
They won't condemn it. They can't simultaneously condemn something.
They cannot condemn the bad actions of these authoritarian governments. All they can do is try to deflect by saying, but America bad.
It's important to point that out because there's a reason they can't do that. It's not because they're too embarrassed to be wrong or something like this. It's because when the ultimate goal for someone who's pro-authoritarian is just like George Galloway. Why would he go and meet Saddam Hussein? It's ultimately down to very base, like very primal needs and urges. Is that like somebody like that's attracted to somebody that has a harem and basically a entourage of slaves and ultimate power that's unchecked, right?
Yes.
They want a part of that. So if you can become friends with someone like that or show your support, it's just like the people that fanboy for North Korea. By the way, the person behind me, fanboy for North Korea.
Yeah, absolutely.
They try to get close to these regimes because they think that they'll be included in them somehow.
Absolutely true. He I know him personally. He invited me to go with him to North Korea.
Yeah.
He wanted me to help film something there because he's trying to make deals to get hops to brew beer from North Korea.
Well, and the think tanks...
And he goes and he visits North Korea and he loves North Korea and he loves the CCP. He's a very bad man.
Well, I'm not even talking about just him. The think tanks and the people that are involved with this kind of stuff usually have some sort of weird tie to North Korea.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre. It's these George Galloway types. They really go out of their way to suck up to any weird authoritarian regime, and I really can't think it's any other reason other than the fact that they might be included someday in that power.
Yeah,
right.
They want a piece of that power, and they love this authoritarianism. It's very straightforward.
It's very immoral, very like it's good and bad, like black and white stuff.
Yeah,
you know, pro-authoritarianism, pro-invasion, all this stuff that's bad.
It's terrible.
So
anyway, so we just thought we'd do a little bit of a follow-up on that for those of you who weren't here last week to see the very clear ties that we brought together.
Can you
Chinese
show that part?
And Russian thing.
Can you show that part where he, he becomes a cat again? I just want to see that real quick, quick.
Okay, yeah, let's take a look. All right,
huge fan of his work, right?
Yeah, that's important because when you're going on a talk show that's hosted by this man, which is hosted by Russian propaganda, Russian state media, you know who you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. You know the host. You know that this is Russian state media. And it's up to you to choose if you're going to appear on that state media or not. And if you're going to interact with this person or not. And you would do it only if it was a mutually beneficial thing, or you would do it because it's beneficial to you, or because you do genuinely support this person and support his worldview and support what he does.
Well, I think that, and first of all, thanks for having me on your show. I'm a very big fan of what you do as well.
Now, would you like me to be the cat?
Yes. More tickles on the back, yes. There's a good pussycat. There's a good pussycat, yes. Good pussycat. Good girl. Good girl. Now lick your lips, a little cream all over your whiskers. Yes, good protect. Good pussycat. That's
You get the
better.
idea. Anyway,
I can't deal with it either. It's so cringe.
Well,
It's awful.
but yeah,
Trying
it's,
day with all those people coming into the house.
anyone that's like thinking we're congratulating the censorship of RT or whatever, not.
No.
We do, and all we do is ask YouTube and Google and all these
To flag
companies
them.
to flag them, to put a warning that says they're funded by a government, right? Russian government, Chinese government.
You know, we were pulling up. I was just showing Seamilk some Afrikaans kids shows that I had to deal with on TV when I was young, and it's SABC, which is the South African Broadcasting Corporation, which is owned and run by the government. Okay, it is. It's a government thing, and even that has a label to say this is funded by the South African government, and it's important to know that.
Yeah.
You need to know that. All right.
Yeah.
So we need that. We just need that transparency. And these
Agreed.
guys, these tankies that run their own little talk shows and their own nonsense to support the CCP and to attack the West and so on, they need that label as well.
Yes.
Just like if there was a CIA-funded channel, it should have a label too.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. Agreed.
Anyway, on to something a little more ridiculous, if you can believe it. My wife was showing me this last night. Now, turns out that there's a new coffee chain. It's called Blue Bottle. Apparently it's from California, and it's a very kind of posh coffee brand. You know what I mean? So people, it's just opened in Shanghai, and people were waiting. Take a look in the background here. Between 6 and 8 hours to get a cup of coffee. Can you believe that?
In China, I can. Yeah.
Between 6 and 8, because what they were doing, they would only allow 10 people into the coffee shop. Let me go back. 10 people into the coffee shop at one time. You know, like they do with luxury stores.
Yeah.
So they would only allow 10 people in. Those 10 people can get their lattes or whatever, and I guess there was a limit to how many they can get. And then the next 10 people. And people were queuing up. Like I said, the average wait time was something like 5.5 hours for a cup of coffee. I don't know. By the time I've been standing for 5.5 hours, I feel like the coffee's not going to satiate me, you know? You know what I mean?
I would never wait that long. Maybe 5 minutes.
Dude, my max would be maybe 10 minutes.
Maybe 10.
If it's like something really cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's something you'll notice a lot in China. And we've talked about this in the past, but it can be quite frustrating when you go out with your significant other and you want to go out for dinner. And let's just say you want hot pot, right?
Yep.
So you go to the area, because in China you have little areas where they'll have the same kind of things. So you'll have like a bunch of hot pot restaurants in an area. There'll be one that's like madly popular with tons of people waiting and coming out the door. Next to it, there'll be an empty-ish one, okay, where you can just go straight in and sit down. But they'll always want to go to the one that's got a huge crowd and where you have to wait an hour.
That's actually not even just a China thing. That's an Asia thing.
Yeah.
Saw it in Macau, saw it in Taiwan. People would wait 2 or 3 hours to get a cake from a shop that was worse than another shop.
I
Just
know,
because it was hyped up.
It's frustrating.
And they pay people we've talked about this, but they pay people to go wait in line. So they did this in Taiwan as well. They'll pay 20, 30 people to make a line out of a place. And that's how the hype gets started on social media, is they go, look at this line. They'll start posting about it. And then people will say, hey, I want to go in that line. I always thought
it's actually quite clever.
it is, but I always thought it would be more like of a social event, but nobody's like fraternizing or talking to each other. It's like a very solitary, lonesome thing, you waiting in that line. And this 6 to 8 hours, that's just insanity to me.
Yeah. Anyway, just thought we'd throw that in there.
It's just interesting.
Yeah. So what else do we have in What's New today? Ah, yes. Let's take a look at this. So China pulls the Premier League TV coverage over shows of solidarity. Okay. Remember, and we're going to talk about this a lot, the official, unofficial stance of China is support Russia, don't support Ukraine, don't support the West. I mean, we saw that last week. We showed you the leaked document that was put out to all the media. You may not show pro-Ukraine, pro-Western stuff, and you may not show any anti-Russia media.
China is currently denying all of this,
Yeah.
literally trying to crucify anyone. I shouldn't say literally, they're not actually doing that.
No.
They're trying to crucify anyone that actually says that.
Yes.
That says, hey, you're not allowed to support Ukraine. You're only allowed to support Russia. They're trying to call that fake news because they're doing this simultaneous thing. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, we're like with COVID.
Right. They're trying to tell their people at home, yes, we support Russia. Domestically here, we absolutely put everything we do behind Russia. To the rest of the world, they want to say, oh, we absolutely did not take a stance here.
Yeah.
And we will prove to you. This is,
Yeah.
I mean, this is just one little instance
Yeah,
of proof.
this
It's important, though.
shows. I mean, you saw that the Canadian embassy put out the Stand with Ukraine banner outside their embassy.
Yeah.
Within hours, it was defaced
yeah.
and vandalized, and people wrote like F NATO on it, and they came and put like umbrellas in front of it to try and block it and stuff.
So pathetic.
It really is. And
so, yeah, but
I mean, overwhelmingly online, the support for Russia has been overwhelming.
yeah.
And now they have to dial it back. They weren't allowing any pro-Ukrainian stuff, but now they're like, oh shit, now Russia's not doing as well as we thought. Let's dial it back a bit and allow a little bit of this Ukrainian stuff, and let's pretend that that's the way it was the whole time.
Just before we get into the actual segment about that, I just wanted to explain some of the thought process so that you guys can understand, is that China put its backing behind Russia for a couple of reasons. Number one is because authoritarians stick together when faced with adversity, right? So when you have an entire situation where the whole world is banding together against you, China with the genocide in Western China, Russia with the invasion of Ukraine, China has to say, hey, listen, actually, other than fair weather friends that we've made through the Belt and Road Initiative, just through debt traps and stuff that actually don't even like us that much, we're in a position where we can't throw away any opportunity, even for a temporary ally, right? So when Putin also looks at the situation and says, hey, sorry, Putin, people keep making fun of because I keep saying Putin. Putin looks at the situation and says, oh, shit, I did not expect the entire world to join up with Ukraine and say, completely demonize this invasion. They both kind of look at each other and they say, listen, we're the best we can do. We're the best we got. So let's try to weather this storm together. And what happens is, because of authoritarian leadership, someone like Putin will get orders and directions and all this kind of stuff from his military intelligence, from this person, from this person, from this person. But in authoritarian leadership, no one wants to face the consequences of being wrong. So this person lies, this person lies, this person lies, this person lies, and the chain of command. So they think, hey, we're going to steamroll them in a few days. Wow, I didn't realize it was going to be this hard. Wow, I didn't know the supply chains would be this bad. Wow, I didn't think we'd run out of gas and these tires would fail. Wow, I didn't expect this. Why did the Russian intelligence tell me that the whole world wasn't going to care about this that much? All of that stuff proved to be wrong. Yeah. And that's what happens in an authoritarian chain of command. So China operates exactly the same way. And I think a good analogy you guys can understand is Chernobyl. Look at how that happened. Russia hasn't changed a whole lot since then, and neither has China, right? China works exactly the same way. You have the leadership at the top surrounded by yes men that are refused to give any bad news to Xi Jinping or the Xi Jinping clan, like the Circle. So you have really misinformed opinions that lead to disasters, right? Yeah. And then you have these really bizarre alliances like with China and Russia that are currently forming that are probably temporary, but leading to this disaster that we're about to talk about.
Correct. Well, there's another thing that just shows the overwhelming support for Putin. Putin's being shown as a hero in China. There's so many voices on social media that have been supporting him. I don't know if you saw my video from earlier this week where I showed the people online calling him a hero and handsome and amazing and, all this other nonsense.
I actually linked 2 videos I want you guys to watch right after this. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but Winston's video is about the online response. And what the Chinese citizens were told to believe, told to support. And that's a great one with real video examples. Yeah. My video is down below, also right there. Please watch that afterwards as well. It's about how China and Russia actually colluded together.
Correct.
And the documents that led to this.
So if you take a look, this was yesterday, the, WeChat Read is kind of, I guess it's like Kindle or something along those lines where you can read books online. The number 2 best-selling book right now, the number 2 most popular book is Putin's autobiography. And I know, right? Well, they love this shit. Xi Jinping thought must have been number 1 for like forever, because it has to be. But, that just shows you that there's anyone who is even trying to convince you that China's just a middleman here and not taking sides needs to just piss off, because the evidence is so clear of what we've been seeing come out of China on the internet and about the support. They did that poll, 53% of people supported the invasion. Only 15% of the people polled didn't support the invasion. All right? You've got the schools teaching those little kids. Do we have that clip in here?
No.
No, we forgot to put it in. Well,
That's going to be a dedicated thing next week.
We'll do something next week. But you got little school children shouting about how, look at how the Ukraine had so much military power and was so great. And the teachers are making little, 6-7-year-old kids shout out this stuff, like how much military hardware the Ukraine had and how powerful they were. But look how quickly they turned into such a disaster and a useless country. And that's why we Chinese need to stand, together, and we have to cut ourselves off from the rest of the world, basically. They're teaching the kids this. Everyone's in support of Putin. It's disgusting what's going on in state media. They've been blaming the US and NATO and all this kind of shit from the get-go, and they still are, for Putin invading the Ukraine, without ever thinking that the Ukraine itself is its own country that can make its own decisions as to whether it wants to join NATO or whether it wants to join Russia, whatever they want to do. It's their choice at the end of the day.
Now, just so we don't get lost in sauce here, if you want to come up with examples of scholars and stuff saying, there's a reason this all happened and all this kind of stuff, that's great. That's fine. Not discounting that. But this video is more about China's involvement with this whole thing. And Winston and I can both say, we can both speak from the heart and say that we oppose invasion. That's just not a good thing. Russia invading Ukraine is not something that should have happened.
That's something, you know what? Every country that's invaded another country has always had a good reason to do it.
Yes.
Okay, it doesn't matter which country it is. Hitler had a good reason to invade Poland, in his mind.
Yes.
Okay? And the same reason that Russia has a good reason in their mind to invade the Ukraine. Or I should say Ukraine. People keep correcting me. I don't know. I grew up in the 80s, all right? On top of that, America had a good reason to invade Afghanistan or Iraq. Every country has a good reason. Doesn't mean that the invasion is okay.
It's not.
Doesn't mean that war is okay.
It's not.
Doesn't matter what your reasons might be. You don't do it, right? If you're against war, you do not support invasions.
No.
Simple. Anyway, let's move on. We're going to do some super chats and then move on to our main segment.
Oh, I just want to say one more thing.
Sure.
Just because this is all, we need to set this up so that people are not constantly asking the same questions over and over again.
Yeah.
Something that we've heard, or at least I've heard online in response to a lot of our videos and stuff like this, is that we should. I want to be clear on our stance. Okay, that we should allow Russia to take Ukraine to prevent global catastrophe. And it's the same and this, by the way, this is not a paid response. I'm not talking about Russian Kremlin bots or Wu Mao here, Chinese bots. It's a pretty, I'm not going to say the popular opinion, it's definitely in the minority, but it's an opinion that keeps going around and causing debates in our videos and comment sections and stuff like this. And again, it's that Russia should, it's bad, but Russia should take Ukraine and then the West should allow it to happen, because then we can avoid World War III and we can avoid future catastrophe. And we heard the exact same thing when it comes to China. And but from the China side, it comes from the CCP supporters, or at least the people that think that they need to be placated. And we stand in the face of that. That is not okay. You do not allow evil to prevail. I know this is not Star Wars or some freaking fairy tale movie or something, but there is good and evil, and it is evil to take lives and invade sovereign territory. And number two, it's not justified just to make future problems go away, right? And I think I can speak on behalf of both of us when I say that.
Yeah, look, it's been a very common tactic lately. When you see a lot of commentators who are supporting China, what they'll say is, we need to work together,
Yeah.
And what we need to do in order for there to be peace, and we're going to find this way to work together, and what we need to do is allow China to just do whatever the hell it wants and don't ever say anything about it. And that's how we work together. Yeah. For instance, we should allow China to just, I don't know, genocide the Uyghurs and have their concentration camps.
Because
it's their country. It's their way to deal with things. Let them do it, Don't oppose the Beijing Olympics, because you know what? That's not supposed to be political. It doesn't matter if they're doing genocide. It doesn't matter if there's forced labor. It doesn't matter if they're taking away the freedoms from the people in Hong Kong. It doesn't matter that they keep threatening to invade Taiwan. It doesn't matter that they keep doing all these nasty things. Let them do it.
See, what you're saying is you're talking about a snowball effect here.
Yeah.
This is why appeasement in these scenarios, when you're talking with despotic, crazy people like Xi Jinping and Putin, it doesn't work out. The appeasement doesn't work out, because what's next? What do you think? Putin's not going to take Moldova next? Do you think he's not going to storm into Romania next after that? What do you think? China's going to stop with Taiwan?
Just imagine, take yourself back to World War II. If the Allies said, you know what? Just let Hitler have Poland.
Yeah.
Just just let him. Yeah, he took
Same
the
logic.
Rhineland. Just let him take that. You know what? Let Hitler just take all of Europe, because historically it kind of was Germany's anyway.
Yeah.
Let him have it. Just we
let
should
Japan
evolve.
take China.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, just let Japan take China.
Yeah.
You know what? That's their own thing.
Yeah.
Let them deal with their own internal thing by themselves. That's not how it works, guys. And so everyone who's saying, "Oh, just let Putin take the Ukraine," or
can avoid conflict.
Just let China take Taiwan.
Yeah.
Just let China take the Uyghurs and do what they want to do. You know what? That's not how it works.
No.
Okay?
No.
So we stand on the whole point of, you know what? Stop. Okay? No invasions, no war.
Correct.
Okay. Anyway, now we're going to take some super chats and we'll
Yes.
move into our main topic, actually. So let's do it.
Actually saw, what we were just, these arguments we're trying to address, a lot of people coming in with them in the chats.
Of course they would. That's
saying that we are selfish and we want millions of people to die.
Oh, do we?
See, this is the logic I'm trying to talk about. I don't want to address this too much, but that is so infuriating to me.
Yeah.
It's like if there's a rattlesnake in the middle of your living room and you're like, just walk around it. Don't bother him anymore until it's too late.
Yeah, and he bites your kids. Yeah.
Tacit turn.
We don't fall for that shit anyway. Anyone who's got a good head on their shoulders knows that this invasion is incorrect. It needs to be stopped. And not stopped by placating the person who invaded.
No. Just let him go, right?
Yeah.
Tacit Turn says, welcome back, adventurers, as we return into the journey of our two heroes who were battling on the army of trolls when we last met. Roll for initiative.
I love it. Hey, now we have to deal with this combined force of the Russian
it's crazy.
50 Cent army and the Chinese 50
Well,
Cent
because
army.
they've officially linked.
They are the same. One and the same kind of idea. Really.
But I mean, in documentation, they've officially linked, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got Chinese Ox says, help me.
Okay.
Tacit Turn with CCP ambassador to the United Nations, Zhang Jun, openly denied Ukraine's right to exist and goaded Russia to violate international law. You're correct. Chinese Ox says, sorry for that message. My friend had my phone.
Okay.
I'm bored in China. Let me know where you guys live so we can chill and hang out. Yum cha. He is yumming cha in that clip, isn't he?
No, that's Baijiu.
Yeah. In a teacup.
Yeah.
Lightseeker gifts. I'm glad you're whittling it down, Lightseeker.
Yeah.
Jingping Shitaler says, Van der Poel, who was fiercely critical of the decision to award Beijing the Winter Olympics, gave his 10,000-meter gold medal to Angela Gui, the daughter of bookseller Gui Minhai, who is serving 10 years in prison in China on charges of illegally providing intelligence abroad. And that's actually in Worldview. I just read it prematurely.
Yeah.
Good morning, gents. Lao Out says, so when y'all going on Joe Rogan again? I don't know.
Who knows?
Let me know when it happens. Chinese Ox says, buy Chinese Ox coin, not financial advice.
Okay.
And someone else in the chat made a joke, said, by the way, Chinese Ox coin is not real.
It's not a real thing.
It's just ADV China lore.
Yeah.
Ox coin is probably worth more currently than the ruble.
It's very true. All right.
Let's finish these ones that went away.
All right.
Cornmeal Nomad, thank you very much. Very generous.
Wow, that's very generous. Thanks.
They said, you two are needed more than ever now. I've been questioning whether I should continue to read articles that make the CCP out to be some kind of unstoppable juggernaut, when in actuality, the CCP is just one bad day away from becoming a pariah like current Russia. You're absolutely correct. Other than the fact that more countries are tied financially to China, absolutely. The leadership
this is the most ridiculous thing is that China's been able to get away with the worst things, and it's so frustrating because look what the IOC did, for instance. They're like, don't make sport political, blah, blah, blah. They allow the Olympics to go. They ignore all the boycotts.
Yeah.
But now they're like, oh, Russia's doing bad. So you know what? We're not going to allow, these sporting events to include Russia.
They have to wait until it goes like to the 10th, 11th degree.
I mean, not even that. Like, they say it's not political. They say that it shouldn't be. But then suddenly with Russia, now they can punish
So now
Russia.
it's political? IOC is the biggest pile of shit hypocrites I've ever seen.
It's pissing me off like you won't believe. As if genocide and human rights violations and all the shit.
Territorial salami slicing.
Flying planes into the Taiwanese airspace, attacking Indian soldiers. This is okay.
Yeah, according to the IOC. According to Thomas Bach.
Yeah, that's okay. But no, Russia invades Ukraine, not okay. And that's because it's not China doing the bad stuff.
Yes.
If China's doing bad stuff, they're given a free pass.
Yeah.
China allows COVID to leak, covers it up.
Right.
Where's the backlash? They've gotten away with it.
Yeah.
And they're going to keep getting away with this kind of crap because oh, it's China. Nah, it's just China. Meanwhile, if you see the clips coming out of China of these ultranationalists calling for nuclear strikes against the West,
it's happening. They've done this.
If you see some crazy American rednecks shouting like "nuke this place, nuke that," it makes the news, and everyone's like, "Shut the hell up!" These people do not represent Americans.
Right.
Okay, they're like KKK or whatever. Does not represent
obviously
Americans. But in China, you got these people, multiple. I mean, I got so many of these videos of people calling for attacking and nuking the Ukraine and nuking England and nuking.
It's not even citizens. We're talking about leadership, military leadership, military generals writing proof of concept papers to genetic, and this sounds crazy, but it's documented, to take genetic information from people of other countries like the US and manipulate and attack them based on their DNA.
Sure.
And that's state sponsored, put out there. You can just read it for free on the CCP websites.
Yeah. And guess what? The biggest bullshit thing about this is when you've got these disgusting ultranationalists calling for nuclear strikes and for attacks, you do not see any real level of condemnation from their peers, because you can't. That's the problem, because it's the state narrative is kind of going along that way. If you call them out too hard, you get into trouble. So the good people in China don't call it out. So it looks like it's just this, the country is standing on one side calling for the annihilation of the Ukraine and backing up Russia. It's awful. Where's the outrage? You know, whenever there's some stupid crazy in America shouting out something like, I'm going to burn the Quran and do that, you get tons of backlash.
Of course.
You get people going after them, calling them racists and trying to bring them down and all that. But in China, when this happens, there's no backlash, and it encourages this kind of behavior.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good point.
Soft power? Or we have one more?
Just one more here. Sorry, Power Shift says, looks like China's going to screw around and get sanctioned 7 ways a Sunday, just like China or Russia has. Not a good look for Xi's faction of the CCP stooges. And that's actually going to cause a lot of internal strife. If China doesn't manage to hide their connection to Russia as well as they can, Xi Jinping is going to be in big trouble internally if he allows China to be sanctioned to the earth.
Are they going to be sanctioned, though?
No, I said if. That's what I said.
This is what's so frustrating, is they should have been sanctioned the moment they provided financial support, unrestricted financial support to Russia. Yeah. So they're bypassing the sanctions. They're allowing the sanctions to be bypassed. So why aren't they being sanctioned as well?
Shashin Rowe Reynolds says, I've been on an unhealthy diet of Xi Baozi and Vladimir's Putin.
Okay.
Nice.
Nice.
Let's move.
Okay. It's time for Soft Power Hour, where we talk about our main topic, which of course is this whole idea that China and Russia have been backing each other up on this invasion behind the scenes. So much so that, the CCP actually asked Russia to wait until the Olympic ceremony had ended before the invasion. And you know what? It's backed up, because the invasion literally happened hours after the closing ceremony of the Olympics.
What a surprise. I mean, they could have made it a little less obvious, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why don't you run some of our...
So, okay, if you take a look, first of all, we want to talk about
it's just super quick.
Yeah, if anyone wants to support what's going on in the Ukraine, this is a charity that you vetted, right?
I did, and it is through Lithuania.
Okay,
which is why I chose it.
Yeah,
a subscriber reached out with some information about it. I looked it up. It looks good. Links are down below if you want to donate to the effort, humanitarian crisis in Ukraine.
Absolutely. So that's of course entirely up to you. But if you
we don't get anything from it.
No,
it's
absolutely
just to be a good person.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
So. Where are we at? Okay, so Ukraine obviously attacked by Russia. If you'd have to be under a rock to not know that.
Yeah.
And I don't mean Iraq like the country. I mean rock, like 一个石头.
Yeah.
One stone. If you've been under a stone, you would know.
Who pronounces Iraq like Iraq anyway?
Iraq. I've heard it many times.
Okay.
Yeah. I wonder what the straight up legit one is. Do you ever hear that country song?
Yeah, you play it every time on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
As
a joke.
Of course. It just shows
it actually makes me mad.
It's funny,
Alan Jackson, and he goes, I don't know it's about 9/11. He goes, I don't know the difference between Iraq and Iran.
Yeah, what was the rest of it go? But I'm like I can't even remember, but it's hilarious. I tell you what, if you ever want to see like the fun, like ridiculous side of American nationalism, that's what you listen to.
Oh, I hate that stuff too.
Yeah, but it's funny though.
I just want to read that blurb. It says it's called where were you when the world stopped turning? It sounds fine. Like, I mean, it sounds like shit country. Like, no, I'm not shitting on country. It sounds like a shitty pop country song though. Until he goes,
This
says,
is a comedy, by the way.
Oh
This
yeah.
is-
He goes, I'm just a singer of simple songs. I'm not a real political man. Okay, that's fine, right? I watch CNN. I'm surprised he watches CNN.
Sure.
I watch CNN, but I'm not sure if I can tell you the difference in Iraq and Iran. Why
Yeah,
do you?
but I know Jesus.
But
and
I know
talk to
Jesus and
God.
I talk to God. So screw all the people in Iraq and Iran, right?
It's like he doesn't know the difference.
Because he doesn't know. If he doesn't know the difference, then you don't deserve to be around, right? That's a pretty shitty take.
It's a
Alan
very,
Jackson.
very shitty take.
Anyway,
Yeah.
off topic. So you guys know the difference between Russia and Ukraine, unlike Alan Jackson.
I hope everybody does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Alan Jackson, I hope you've mended your ways.
Yeah.
And I hope you know the difference between
He should
Russia
make
and Ukraine.
a follow up to his song. It's like, now I know the difference
Now
between
I
Iraq
know.
and
Now
Iran.
I know
Yeah.
the difference,
Yeah.
right? And I've talked to Allah and I've talked to God.
No, because he talked to Jesus and God, and they said, "Shut the fuck up! You're so fucking ignorant. You make us look bad.
And then
how
so
dare
he-
you include our name in that song of yours?" You know?
Yeah, and they're pissed off.
Yeah.
They're super pissed.
Of course. Anyway,
They
let's continue.
yeah, created men equal, right? So anyway, Western intelligence figured out that something very important. First of all, I would never say this in this situation. I would never say I told you so. But the amount of the sheer amount of people that are running defense for the fact that they said that there was going to be no invasion, both on the right and left. We were appalled at the amount of people writing to us, telling us to say, stop talking about the Ukraine situation. And they weren't bots. Stop talking about the Ukraine situation. It's never going to be a war.
Yeah.
We were like, what are you talking about? The literal intelligence has proof of this, right? Well, lo and behold, right? Now they're continuing to run defense and saying, oh, well, they may have said that, but it was just a fluke, like there's still no evidence that they were gonna do that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we're in the current reality here. And one of the more important things that Winston and I want to bring up is the collusion with China and Russia.
Correct.
It's very important to pay attention to this because China is trying to simultaneously play the I didn't have anything to do with it role, and then also we fully support the Russian government role. And that's very alarming because what they're going to do is try to play the West and the East against each other.
Well, right now, what China's doing literally is in all their press releases, they're trying to make out as if they respect the
Yeah.
idea of sovereign borders.
Yes. Well, because it's been their prerogative since day one.
But at the exact same time, they're saying that what Russia's doing to the Ukraine is justified because of NATO and America
Yes.
and stuff. So how can you say two opposite things?
Right.
Because what Russia's doing to Ukraine, I gotta get that out of my
Okay,
head.
you're
I'm a
working
kid
on
of
it.
the
You're
80s,
working
all
on
right?
it. You're working on it.
What's happening there is they are violating sovereign borders.
Yes. I mean, it's literally the nightmare of China. The problem with that is that there was a lot of speculation, a lot of people writing defense for China. And they were saying, well, they were blindsided too. They didn't know Russia was going to invade. And that was actually a narrative, and it was kind of, I saw it in some mainstream media outlets as well. They were running with this, it was opinion pieces, but they were running with this narrative that, wow, China's in a really tough spot. Of course they were going to back Russia, but now they're going to have to rethink it because they didn't expect an invasion like this. And that just turned out to be empirically false. Completely false. In fact, China knew, of course the leadership knew about it. And that's where it comes down to the real controversy here is that they asked the Russian government to delay the invasion of Ukraine until after the Olympics.
Yeah.
And that is really a big issue.
That's not just some rumor, by
No.
the way.
Well, we can show some documents if you want
Yeah,
to.
I'll bring it up.
It's really a big deal because it means that China premeditated this, knowing that they were going to have to be put in this difficult position to say, hey, we back Russia, by the way. And you saw it in their domestic propaganda because I think they've gotten so used to this language barrier and the fact that the leadership is so out of touch with how social media works.
Yeah.
They think the Great Firewall works better than it actually does. Because,
Yes.
by the way, the Great Firewall works on both sides. You're not supposed to see the inside of the Chinese internet, a lot of it. There's not going to be any journalists. We kicked all the journalists out, so there's going to be no public opinion on the ground to report on, right?
Yeah.
So we'll be able to go and say, hey, Chinese people, we support Russia and so should you. No one's going to find out about that, right? We're going to go over and show our foreign ministry and we're going to say, we support the sovereign borders of every single country. We don't get involved with other countries' internal affairs when they're blatantly doing it.
Yeah, they
right?
do.
Just blatantly flying in the face of all this stuff. And when that didn't work, they had to, what they were blindsided by was not that Russia was invading Ukraine. They were blindsided by the response of the fact that everyone saw through that.
Yeah.
And they said, China, what are you doing? You're actively supporting the opposition that everyone's ganging up against right now with sanctions and stuff. You're cutting them deals.
Yes. Now, unrestricted wheat imports and trade.
Gas, oil, all this stuff that you're not supposed to do because the rest of the world is sanctioning Russia.
Yeah.
And then not only that, they watch the rest of the world kind of fall in line and say, you probably shouldn't be invading anyone. So what did China do is not to say, we don't actually support this. What they actually did was just blame it on America.
Yeah.
Right? They took the Kremlin bot opinion and they said, hey, it's all America's fault. So you can pull up their foreign spokesman here.
I will in a second. I first have to say that if you guys are not aware, just before the invasion, the U.S. intelligence shared with the Chinese government troop buildup intelligence and so on about what Russia was doing on the border of the Ukraine/Ukraine, whichever you prefer.
Just say Ukraine.
Him, her, them, they. You know what I'm saying?
It's just Ukraine.
Caesar. Anyway, the
It's
fact
Ukraine.
of the matter is, okay, it's Ukraine. The Ukraine. All right.
It's
We got that
Ukraine.
out the
It's
way.
just Ukraine.
It's Ukraine. So anyway, the U.S. intelligence had a lot of information about the troop buildup and so on. They shared it with the Chinese government as a, hey, look, this is what's going on, just so you know, and like hopefully you can help de-escalate the situation, whatever. The Chinese government then shared that intelligence directly with Russia. They're like,
Correct.
oh, look what the U.S. knows about you. Look what the U.S. is saying about you.
If that didn't show you the allegiance straight from the get-go.
So they did that. Now, look, there's something which has been around. I'll show you. We've got it here. There's an agreement. In fact, I've got the Chinese one as well, which we can show in the future. But I have the Chinese agreement. In 2015, Russia and China signed this agreement that they cannot badmouth each other publicly in the press, pretty much. So they've been planning this
online
whole,
as well, mostly online.
Yeah. I mean, the press, online, news,
sure.
that kind of thing. They've been planning this like little alliance or axis or whatever you want to call it for a long time now.
Yes.
Okay, so it's been in the works. So what did the foreign ministry dude have to say exactly?
So basically I'm just going to read a couple blurbs here. You can put him.
Okay.
So got exclusive conversation here.
All right, let's show it, shall we?
You told Russia to invade? Yeah, until after the Olympics. Why? Well, pause there.
Whoops.
It's obvious that the reason that they waited was because Emperor Xi Jinping told them to.
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
And what he says goes,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is obviously a parody. We just got a bunch of new tools in our editing rig.
Yeah,
I
so
just wanted to try
show
it
it
out.
off. Yeah.
Not a real conversation.
Yeah.
Anyway, put up our friend Wang Wenbin here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is as another little editing tool. This is a real quote though.
Yeah.
So Wang Wenbin is one of the foreign ministry spokespeople, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So what happens is that these wolf warriors go out there and defend China voraciously, but actually what it is a direct opinion of the top leadership in China, Chinese government. A lot of people were. New York Times put out this thing here.
Yeah. This what we're talking about, to make it clear, is the whole agreement between China and Russia to start the invasion after the Olympics. Okay, which we can, by the way, see here are the documents.
Yes.
All right. The documents have been verified by the New York Times, who ran the article. All right.
Yes.
And whatever you want to say about the New York Times, they still are a credible source when it comes to journalism. They do their citations, they do their back checking, and so on. Not only were these documents leaked and put out there by the New York Times, but also anonymous.
But these documents were anonymous.
Okay, these documents were anonymous, but the ones I'm reading, the exact same directive, which you're going to read now, were put out by the New York Times.
What you're looking at now is for visual representation
Yeah.
only. The New York Times thing I'm about to read is
So let's read this thing that you got from the New York Times.
So it says a Western intelligence report said senior Chinese officials told senior Russian officials in early February not to invade Ukraine before the end of the Winter Olympics in Beijing. Now, Winston can tell you why are the Olympics so important.
Yeah, look, the whole idea behind the Beijing Olympics is, number one, it's the first time in history that the Olympics have been held twice in the same city. So it's a big accolade for China. But more importantly, the reason why Xi Jinping rose to power is because he was given political responsibility over the 2008 Summer Olympics that did so well and put China on the world stage. Now, because he was given political responsibility, remember, he wasn't a dictator at that time. He was just a party member. He did it was so successful that solidified his position as the leader and put him in the chairman position. And so the Olympics is more than a sporting event for the Chinese Communist Party. It is a power play. It is a show of power and a show of success to show how successful China is. So to have anything interfere with the Olympic Games would be disastrous to China. They do not want the spotlight to go away from China during that time, because it's their time to shine and show all their achievements and show how great and powerful China has become. So, of course, they don't want an invasion or a war to take away from that. And that is why they instructed Russia to wait until the Olympics were over, and then they could begin the invasion.
Correct. So this is according to, by the way, anybody criticizing whatever source I'm using, this is intelligence. I mean, this is not direct intelligence. This is an article about intelligence to administration, so it doesn't matter where.
The New York Times put it out there, but they vetted it, and it comes
of
from
course. No, but I
Western intelligence reports.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could have picked a different one. So you guys can't, you criticize all you want. I could have read it from The Atlantic, and I could also have read it from CNN or Fox.
Or
so
Breitbart or whatever.
Matter,
It doesn't matter. Choose
it's
your
the
side.
same article.
CNN,
it's the same article.
Left, right, centrist. It doesn't matter. It's the fact that it's verified Western intelligence.
Correct. So this is according to senior Biden administration officials and European officials. So the report indicates that senior Chinese official, and this is the important part, had some level of direct knowledge about Russia's war plans or intentions before the invasion started last week. President Vladimir V. Putin of Russia met with President Xi Jinping of China in Beijing on February 4th. I don't like to call Xi Jinping a president.
No.
He's a dictator, not elected.
Oh, call him chairman.
Chairman Xi. It's too much face.
Is it?
No. In China it is. It's the most prestigious title.
Yeah,
but he is absolutely a chairman.
Yeah.
Before the opening
he sits
ceremony.
in a chair. That's pretty much all the guy does.
Certainly does. Before the opening ceremony of the Olympics, Moscow and Beijing issued a 5,000-word statement at the time declaring their partnership had no limits, denouncing NATO enlargement, and asserting that they would establish a new global order with true democracy. This is some haunting-ass words. So anyway...
Didn't they say that their friendship has no limits?
That's what I literally just read.
I know. I'm just repeating it.
Oh, gotcha.
So no limits as to what they collude.
Oh, yeah, do. Yeah.
You know, it just proves it.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. This is bad stuff. So I don't want to sit here and tell you why this is scary. I think you guys can figure it out yourself. But what happened was an actual official response, which a lot of times doesn't happen with China. I think the clever thing is just to let it kind of like the news cycle go through.
But
they threw out
the official
Wang
response
Binbin.
is like it's fake news.
Yeah. The New York Times report is purely fake news, and such behaviors of diverting attention and shifting blames are very despicable. And I'd love to say Wang Binbin and Chinese leadership, that is the biggest pile of shit I've ever read in my entire life, because you blamed America for the invasion. What about shifting blames?
Yes.
You want to play whataboutism, you shifted the blame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then put your support behind the Russian leadership. So what the hell are you talking about?
I know. Mr. Wang Warm Biscuit, or whatever you want to call him.
You want to call him Wang Warm Biscuit?
Yeah, Wen Bing.
That sounds delicious.
warm
Out of
bread.
all the Wolf Warriors, by the way,
Yeah.
he's like the most reasonable looking one.
Reasonable looking.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've got the intelligence reports, and then Anonymous released these documents.
Correct.
Which, again, just seem to verify exactly that.
Right.
Okay.
A lot of tradition, by the way, with Russia invading during Olympic Games, because in the 2008 Olympics, they invaded Georgia, right? They've invaded now right after the 2022 Olympics. Next time China hosts the Olympics, what is Russia going to invade next?
Yeah, I think China should not host Olympics
No
ever again.
shit.
I think they've had their time.
I think Russia and China can have a timeout now.
Yeah, it's enough.
Yeah.
Why does it always have to be these sort of like, I don't know, socialist countries that do this Olympic stuff anyway?
Because they need it. They need it. So why do you think America needs good press? Does America need to go out and say, look, we've hosted the Olympics? You wouldn't see American leadership go, we are so proud to host the Olympics because we're so good, right?
Sure.
That's what communist countries have to do. Authoritarian countries have to do to go justify themselves. We are so good that the world chose us to host the Olympics. No one gives a shit, dude.
Yeah.
But it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. It shows the world that the corrupt leadership and dictators win.
Yeah,
I don't
correct.
like that.
Absolutely. All right. So what do we have next? Just a couple of pictures of our two favorite supervillains.
This is a Photoshop, but yeah, that's
Oh, it's not real?
No, unfortunately.
You sure that's not real? Come on, of course it's a Photoshop.
No, I just want to point that out, that it's not too far off from the truth, though.
No.
Really, at this point.
No, not really. He's got his dragon chair.
He's got his dress. I was going to say, he's got his dragon cups.
Yeah.
He's got his dragon throne.
He does. He's got a dragon throne. So this is
not
off.
that far off.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, at the end of the day, if you're smart enough, you will be able to see the wood from the trees. Okay? It's very simple. China is saying something publicly now that they weren't saying in the beginning of the conflict.
Yes.
And now, the way that they allowed the Chinese netizens to go out there and say these despicable things and back Russia and back Putin in such a blusterous way without stopping them, but at the exact same time censoring anything to do with stand with Ukraine, until it got to the point where they were like, oh shit, Russia didn't just win in a day or two like we expected. Now they're like, oh, maybe we need to take a more neutral stance. Maybe we should start deleting the posts that are calling to take in the Ukrainian women as slaves as young as 10 years old. Maybe we shouldn't allow that anymore. You know?
Oh, they let it go rampant for over a week.
That's the thing. They let them go viral. They let videos go viral about people calling for the swift destruction of the Ukraine because that's going to show how well we can take over Taiwan. They allowed that stuff.
Yeah.
While at the same time completely deleting anything about the Ukraine.
Right.
So remember, as I said in my video, China has the most controlled internet in the world.
Yes.
And I mean...
Other than North Korea.
No, North Korea doesn't have internet.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Intranet.
Yeah. China has the most controlled internet in the world. If they do not want an opinion out there, you can't have that opinion out there.
No, so that, you know, like when people are like, wow, it must have gotten really out of control. China endorses things that are, if it's viral, it's endorsed.
Yes, you cannot have something viral.
No.
Okay? It'll be gone.
It passes direct. I don't know what the threshold is, but as soon as something gets enough views, it will pass directly through the mouth and the eyes of the censorship board of the Chinese government.
Yeah, they get to see it. Oh, this is doing well. What is it? Oh, it's not something we want. Scrub it. And scrub and shut down accounts that are boosting it and get rid of it. And that's what happened. Like, look with Peng Shuai. Out for 30 minutes. Gone. Okay? If people hadn't sent those screenshots outside of China, where the rest of the world picked up on it, it would have been done. Yeah. Okay? And so with the whole like, oh, let's take Ukrainian women and, you know, let's nuke Ukraine and stuff, those things were going out for days and days.
A week.
And being pushed out there and going viral and having massive discussions and all that stuff. The only reason that's allowed is because the government endorses it and allows it. So they're like, this is an opinion that we can stand by. This is an opinion we want circulating around in the populace because we want our populace to be pro-Russia right now.
I don't want people to think we're being like super black and white, like, oh, we're putting words in the mouth of the Chinese government or something. Sure. That's actually how it works. And the reason we bring these distinctions up is it doesn't work like the West or the US. Like you think, oh, the Chinese internet's just a Chinese language version of America or something. It's not like that. When something goes out there and, like I said, hits a certain threshold, it's endorsed, right? Yes. It's either endorsed or it's blocked. So if you see very horrific things going around on the Chinese internet, that's a really worrying trend that the Chinese government wants that sentiment to permeate the society.
Yes.
It's bad.
That's correct.
It's bad stuff.
And anyone who tries to talk against that whole narrative that we just put out there, you know they're lying.
I mean,
we have so many examples of when they've shut things down when they don't want it.
The Wumao corner today is a pretty big one because of that. And actually, one thing I do want to point out, though, is that look at the seemingly innocuous pulling the coverage of the soccer game, right? Because there was Stand With Ukraine stuff up.
Yeah.
Is that not just blatant proof that the Chinese government is supporting Russia over Ukraine? They've already picked a side. There is no this dialogue, people accusing us of saying we're blaming China for an issue that they didn't take a stance on. They took a stance, guys.
They really did. If you had watched Chinese state media, the first week of the invasion, all they were saying is how good Russia is, how great Putin is, and why Russia deserves to be doing what it's doing. Oh, they're just taking over their little brother, you know. Oh, the West is always meddling in this and that, you know. Wada. If you see the actual real news coverage, it's all pro-Russia.
Yes.
They took that stance, they ran with it, and now they're kind of backtracking simply because it's not working out the way they expected.
Yeah, they thought it would be a very quick victory. China wanted the bad press for a couple days.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but then, they picked the winning side. War's over, news cycle changes.
Yeah.
Nope. war turned out to be a huge logistical nightmare, and now China's like, they're not regretting supporting Russia necessarily. They're just dialing back how they're actually portraying it to the world. And we actually see it through the lens of the paid Western shills.
Which we'll get into. So let's have some super chats and we'll hit our Wumao corner.
It's pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah, we got a big one, and it's one of the most important parts of the show today.
Yeah. Norman Fair says, wacky theory. With the way that the Russian economy is suddenly going, will the CCP try and debt trap them? You better believe in some industry. Dude Bub, are there some combinations of letters or numbers that piss off the CCP or Russia while we're still at it? Slava Ukraini.
Just
don't we
444.
Yeah, we don't need to be assholes to people though. We're the better people. Let them just bot around. Yeah, no, just let them bot around doing their shit.
Yeah, that's true.
What are you gonna type to the CCP? You're gonna write to their like Foreign Ministry of Affairs?
Yeah, like 444.
That's it. That's death. We're not wishing death on anyone, but we do wish that they get diarrhea or something.
Sure. I mean, they wish death on your mother all the time.
But I'm a better person than that.
It's true. It's true. Anyway.
I'll wait till you see what they did to me yesterday.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, we'll show you in a minute.
Venus Supreme, what do Chinese nationalists think about Sun Yat-sen? Do they realize that he opposed Marx and would be disgusted by what China has become today? They support Sun Yat-sen and they know nothing of that. That is not what is taught. He's the father of China, and he's about unity and the Chinese identity. They cut out anything about anti-communism.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. P. Draghi says, China delayed the Ukraine invasion. Now their tanks are in the mud and they live in the fear.
Oh, they do.
We'll live in the fear.
There should be a good meme about like the current Russia invasion or whatever, like China's reality. It's like fantasy versus reality.
Yeah, it is. It's fantasy versus reality. It's crazy.
I've
been reading that very fascinating thread on Twitter about the tires.
Yeah.
You know, the tires, you see the sort of like rocket launch vehicles and stuff getting stuck in the mud and the tires coming off and all that. And they're tire experts talking about how the tires are, you know, sort of Russian, not the Belarusian knockoffs of Chinese knockoffs.
They're knocking off Chinese tires.
Yeah, it's like kind of crazy. It's an interesting thread, and it tells you a lot about how the corruption goes through that kind of a system.
Yeah. Dan Cacciatore, a little something while I'm preoccupied with helping neighbors in a Ukrainian village.
Excellent.
That's fantastic. And if that's the case, I'm very proud of you, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
By the way, if any of you are interested, I posted on Twitter a video from a subscriber of mine who's in the Ukraine. Okay?
Yeah.
And she told the exact situation on the ground of what's going on.
Oh, we should have put it on here.
Yeah, we should have actually.
We're running out of time.
We can put a link. We'll put a link in the description.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do that shortly.
Bit, yeah.
But definitely check it out because she explains exactly what's happening.
People can just go to your Twitter, right?
Well,
but
we'll put a link. Yeah.
Cavaliotis, Ionius, CCP is sweating hard. This time, next year, every Chinese city will have a Disneyland, and she will be walking around Beijing saying, "This is fine, everything is fine."
Okay.
Jerry Huang says, "Have you had durian ice cream in Hong Kong, Macca's?" I have. I don't like durian flavored stuff, but I like durian itself. I love fruit, like tropical fruit.
Get those durian flavored candies and stuff. And I'm always disappointed. Or a durian cheesecake, and I'm like,
I'll eat that, but I won't eat durian pizza.
Oh no,
that was a huge fad in China.
You remember that? Yeah. Oh, and we tried it. We tried it together. It's awful, just awful.
Just like Hawaiian pizza is terrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, worse. Durian pizza just takes the cake.
Yeah, I mean, it's the worst.
It's the worst. Yeah.
And I like durian. I highly recommend. This is Xiaoxin Rose says, I highly recommend seeing the interview of Vladislav Kapitsia on the Tim Dillon show. Okay.
Thank you for the recommendation.
Udian Arya says, thank you guys for opening our eyes about real China. You're very welcome. I thought India has laws, but China has order. Question. Do you think, like all their despots, Xi and Putin would soon make one hubris mistake? Oh, I mean, it's history, right? Does history fail to teach us lessons? Well, sometimes people ignore them, but the despots usually never end up in a good spot.
No.
You know,
they end up in a despot.
Yes.
They end up like embalmed in the middle of a square.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, in that respect, they can win.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Lenin and Mao. Lenin jerky and Mao jerky.
There's Lenin and Mao jerky, aren't they?
Yeah, it's gross.
Gordon Freeman says, I love the vocals, but I hope that Omega is just a chant and not the name of an undisclosed variant. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sewer Oil. I just got back from UQ in Brisbane. Mm-hmm. Good news is the Lennon Wall. Oh, University of Queensland.
Yeah.
Good news. The Lennon Wall's back up. I added the video to my channel.
Good.
Great job.
That was a big thing. The Nationalists kept ripping it down. And they kept rebuilding it. They kept ripping it down. So keep putting them up, guys.
Yes, I'll do a couple more real quick. Anthony Saints, thank you very much. Hey, why is the U.S. and Europe not putting sanctions on China for what they're doing? Please ask all in the channel to write their senators and request for this to be done. Well, you just told them to. Definitely write your senators, your lawmakers. China, for every underhanded support that they're giving Russia right now, should be being hit with sanctions as well. It's absolutely hypocritical not to.
How much is it going to take, okay, for sanctions to be put against CCP China? Look at what they've done by stealing military secrets and all the espionage and all the influence that the malign influence that they've been putting around the world. Look at all the nonsense they do. And yet, no problem. How many times do people have to prove that stuff like the Huawei equipment is a security risk? That, all the knockoffs of the chips are destroying and all the intellectual property theft. It's probably about time that some sanctions were levied, like real sanctions. Supporting Russia's invasion, supporting and propping up Putin in this time, not only morally but financially, giving him a backup and an alternative to SWIFT, and all these other things in order to keep him and his war machine going. Surely there needs to be some sanctions.
And it's not just about Russia.
No.
Why haven't sanctions been put on China for genocide?
Yeah.
Let's not forget, China is not just their only fault is not just supporting Russia in this war.
No.
It goes beyond Russia.
Breaking their agreements with the British over Hong Kong. That in itself should have been a big thing.
Threatening to nuke Japan, to take over Taiwan, military incursions, freedom of speech, kidnapping, human rights atrocities, cover-ups.
Yeah.
It runs the gamut.
Hostage diplomacy. Like, come on, guys.
Give me a break.
It's about time. Just because they're making the cheap shit for Amazon or whatever doesn't give them a free pass on all these atrocities.
No.
It's time to sever that connection and find your supply chains elsewhere.
Agreed. Doc Slothington, old Doc here, reminding everyone to subscribe to SerpentZA. He's within 4K of hitting 1 million.
That's actually true. Guys, please, if you haven't subscribed to the SerpentZA channel, please head over and give me a subscribe. If we can hit 1 million, it would be glorious. And there's a big celebration coming up, which, if I hit that 1 million, which I think you're all going to enjoy very much.
Good. It's Kill Us All, baby. Mad love to you guys. Hope all is well. Imperator Salt says, yo, 6 months sub. Keep up the good work, labs. And
Thank you.
We'll continue.
Okay, it's time for us to hit Wumao Corner. Now, we've got a big one for you today, and it's an important one. Now, the Wumaos, as you know, is the 50-cent army. These are the people that are paid, or some of them volunteer, to go online and defend China's honor. And how they defend China's honor is they spread misinformation. They attack anything that is not pro-China or pro-CCP. And they spread and boost anything that is pro-CCP and pro-China. And what they've been doing is they've been attacking anything pro-Ukrainian, and they've been boosting anything pro-Russian. Look what they did with that game, This War of Mine, which, by the way, I haven't played, but it's on Steam. And they said that they would be giving, the money that they made from their game to support people that were suffering in the Ukraine, etc., etc. As soon as they put out that statement, Chinese 50-cent army bots went and downvoted the crap out of their game. What kind of a sick society does that? You've got people that are in need of aid. A company selflessly says they will take the profits from their game that they worked hard for to send it to help the people in need. And what do? You attack them for being humanitarian. You attack them and you try to drive them off the platform by review bombing them, downvoting them into oblivion so that the automated system of Steam doesn't recommend their game and might, if it gets review bombed enough, it can be removed from Steam.
Correct.
That was their end goal. Now you have to understand that this has been the mentality behind the 50-cent army.
Yeah.
It's disgusting what they're doing. Okay, and the nice thing is the Chinese government can always stand back and pretend as if, no, we didn't do that. But
that's exactly what they do.
But they encourage the shit out of it.
They do. Because it serves their purpose. They're doing the job that they normally have to pay people for.
Yeah.
Right? So there's people that do Wumao activities by supporting the government by themselves, and there's people that they get paid to do it. So I want to show a piece of evidence.
Yeah.
This actually happened to me yesterday. So I posted my video on a subreddit. And Reddit, is a big, huge social media platform.
Shout out to our subreddit, by the way.
Yeah. Reddit.com/r/ADVChina.
Yeah, if you want to go leave some memes or talk about what we talk about in the show.
Yeah.
Or just up-to-date news.
Yeah.
It's a great source.
Yes. That's where the community hangs out.
Yep.
So, on this Reddit documentary saying I posted my video, right? Now, you could argue whether or not my video is an actual documentary or not. That can be legitimate criticism. I don't really care about that. As you can see, the post was removed after it had been upvoted. So I watched this live. It was a bit of a social experiment.
It was at the top of our documentaries for the whole day.
Yeah, this is a huge subreddit.
Because it was being upvoted, downvoted. It was crazy.
It's funny how this works because there's 18 million subscribers on this subreddit. It's huge, right? So the fact that it was being upvoted and then downvoted over and over.
That's why it was at the top.
again.
Even though it only says 1.1k upvotes, it had many, many more.
So I was wondering what the criticism would be.
Yeah.
What I found out was, this is pure insanity. People can follow you on Reddit. So you can subscribe to someone just like you can subscribe to someone on YouTube, right?
Sure.
So
anytime it tells you when they post something.
Yeah. So anytime I make a post, they'll go and see the post. Now that could be altruistic. It could be whatever. You're just interested in someone. You follow them there. What happened is I've noticed that tons of people have been following me on Reddit, and a lot of their post history will be on Tanky forums, on Sino, on Genzadong, all these forums that support like authoritarianism. A lot of them were doing that. I was like, wow, that's very interesting that they'd want to follow me. Turns out what was happening was there's a Discord out there, there's groups out there that are run by people. Do you remember Daniel Dumbrell and those types of people? They have Discords, they have groups, they have forums, they have ways to communicate to a lot of people that will go and say, they just posted something outside of their comment section on their YouTube channel. Go get them. I watched that post get just tanked into the ground, despite it being very popular, with very interesting comments. I can spot Chinese propaganda or tanky propaganda from 10 miles away. It's very easy. So you'd say like things like, oh, it's that piece of shit, SerpentZA and Lao 86, those racist assholes, right? And you just read that and you're like, oh, here we go, some Wu Mao, some tankies. Oh, it's those bullshit, and they'll quote some hate piece that has been written about us or filmed about us. But then I saw things like this. It would be like, hey, listen, I really love what you do. And they'd find out my name, it's Matt or C-Milk or whatever. I love what you do, and I love your coverage of so-and-so and so. But this is inexcusable. This video is terrible, and in fact, I think you should actually remove it because all of your supporters are going to look at this and really hate it. And I go to my metrics, I'm like, my video wasn't downvoted, like on my own platform. There's barely any hate comments on my video. Right?
Yeah, you can't allow that. That is an old tactic that they've been using for a very long time. It's been years and years they've been doing that to my channel as well.
Sure.
It's just a tactic to say, oh, you know what? I've been following you for many years and I think you're really good. But this latest video of yours, no, really get rid of it. And you know, the end goal is they want to silence you.
Sure.
And this is what they've been trying to do from day one.
Sure.
Is they want to silence us.
Of course.
So they did manage to silence you there.
And they did get it removed. So, but what I wanted to get into is not how it affected me. I can read a comment like that, and I've gotten this stuff before. What this does, though, is outside of our platform is they'll get hundreds, if not thousands, of people to go upvote that comment.
Yeah.
So I can read that comment and be like, what they're congratulating me for and saying what they liked about me is stuff I've never even covered. So this doesn't make sense, right? They're pretending like they know me. They're pretending like they're just disappointed in this content to get me to remove the content.
Sure.
They get 1,000 people to go upvote it, and then any support of the video, they get them all to downvote it. So they're communicating through Discord. They have ringleaders, like these CCP shills, to go tell them to do that. And I can tell there's evidence of that because they're quoting their video hit pieces about me and you, right? And you see it. So if a casual viewer comes inside, and this is their goal, is to see something like this and say, hey, this is super high upvoted. This is super high downvoted. I don't know who this person is. I'm not going to watch the video, or I'm going to start looking at this person negatively with a bad reputation, because in the back of your mind, if your only interpretation of this content is not watching it, but to read a comment that's been highly upvoted saying all these horrible things, then you will be affected by that. And it's gotten to a point where if we post something outside of our YouTube channel, then there are hordes of Chinese bots, paid Wu Mao, tankies, and these CCP shill ringleaders that go out and mobilize people to silence our opinion, and it's working.
I wouldn't say it's working. I think it's hilarious.
Well, it's working.
Well, it works in some aspects. You know, the thing is that they go and report every... You know when you can report something? you've got different categories that you can choose. You can report something for, I don't know, violence and for hate speech and for showing child porn or whatever. You got all these different things. They select everything.
Yeah.
So it was so funny when Reddit reached out to ask if you needed counseling, because they were like, "Oh, are you trying to commit suicide?"
So
they reported it as if he's trying to commit suicide.
So
and
last
he's a danger to himself. It's hilarious.
Yeah, last night Reddit reaches out and they're like, a concerned Redditor, obviously from this, says that you need like mental help, and we just want to know, here's a suicide hotline. You can actually live chat with us here because it looks like you want to kill yourself. And I'm like, and they're like, if this is an error, report it. So obviously they'll take action against the account that did that. Sure. So I was like, I will never kill myself. I have no history of mental illness or depression, obviously. But I was looking at that and I'm like, that is the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. It's hilarious.
Yeah, look, I mean, at the end of the day, the way that we've managed to, and I'd like to say this to our entire audience out there, the support that we get from you guys is, of course, invaluable to us. And these crazies that go out there to try and take us down all the time, and they've tried every method in the book.
Oh yeah,
they've studied Nazi
psychology.
That's Nazi psychology. Yeah. They've studied CIA psychology and things in order to break people, and they've tried it on us. We found forums where they're discussing how they've tried all these different tactics. And the thing is, for me, it's hilarious. I love seeing these interesting attempts that they try every time, because you can see something, you can see a cat, and you can say that's a dog as much as you want, but it's still a cat.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's just crazy how far they go. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, and the thing we have to take away from all this is that your video, which was getting discussed and upvoted a lot, actually got taken down because of the 50 Cent army. Now, this 50 Cent army is insane. Like I said, they flagged that this war of mine, which apparently made a lot of money, by the way.
Yeah.
Because of its activism to help
Ukraine.
Course. But it would have made a lot more.
Of course.
And it would have been in the spotlight a lot more if it hadn't been so badly like review bombed. These guys are malicious, and they go out there to put down any dissenting voices. So that means people that want to help the Ukraine from a humanitarian point of view. That means people like us who want to bring attention to the fact that China has a big role
it's all connected.
To play. They're going after us like crazy, guys. So, your support right now really means a hell of a lot to us.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to point out a few things here, okay?
Well, this is a video I want to play. Let me set it up.
Okay, yeah. Has it got audio?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good.
So this is something that Winston and I are very... Like, there's a humorous aspect to the Wumao thing. Like that whole thing is actually kind of funny to look at the disaster on Reddit.
Yeah.
However, it's an issue, though, because it does silence opinions. And I think platforms do need to do something about that, right?
Sure.
And our appeal to at least YouTube is to start putting state-sponsored labels on videos, guys. Because what's happened is, and this is why the Wumao Corner is so important today, we noticed that China, we watched their kind of paid foreign shills. This guy, Barrett, that you're seeing above me, is a paid Chinese shill. Right.
And look, there's no disputing that. We have proof. He's admitted it himself, and we have actual proof that this guy's received money to do propaganda videos for China. So he is paid by the Chinese government.
Right. Him and many other people, right? So when they go out there and the Chinese government tells them what script, I mean, we got approached by agents.
They used this guy as an example. They're like, we asked, okay, you want us to do propaganda for China? Give us an example of something. And
of someone who has been paid to do that.
They sent us his video.
Yes. So basically how they work is they'll get an idea or a script or something from someone in the government, probably through an agent, and they'll get paid to put out a video, right? So we were like, wow, a lot of the YouTuber Western, CCP shills that work for the Chinese government were being awfully silent on the Russia thing.
Yeah.
And we were like, we're just waiting, right?
And then guess who pops up? King Ramses II.
King Ramses II comes out and basically goes, hey, China doesn't have a role in this. By the way, we support Russia. I mean, if we really just want to have a very condensed version of this, Russia's great. So this is what the concerning thing was. We saw them go from full support to Russia. We saw this on Twitter, especially, to, actually, it's America's fault.
Yes.
And China has nothing to do with it. Mm-hmm. To now, what I've called and what we called the Chinese, the CCP shills, the Western, the American, in this case, CCP shill.
Well, this guy's British, but yeah.
No, I'm talking about this one that's coming up. Mm-hmm. This is very important. This American CCP shill saying that no, Russia's not good. Oh, maybe Ukraine's not good either, whatever. Invasion's bad. To get the sympathy of the audience and to say, actually, not only did China have nothing to do with this, but they want de-escalation on all sides, and it's going to be up to China to save the world from this situation. And I just want to run this clip because I called this before this video came out.
Yeah, this is something that you got to see. So let's play it quickly.
See Western paid propagandists who work for the Chinese government make a major shift in their rhetoric. I want you to know how to spot this. First, they showed their support for the invasion and demonized Ukraine, and they did so because they were told to do so. In fact, all Chinese media was supposed to block anything anti-Russia or pro-Ukraine. They made it a law. In fact, this law started in 2015, where Russia and China both came together and said, us dictators think alike. No more shit-talking each other. We are not allowed to say anything negative about each other in state media anymore. Fast forward back to now, and following the shift in Chinese state narrative, like I just told you about, they blamed it on the evil West and the evil USA.
During this period, they continued to oppress and liquidate Russian and pro-Russian forces in Ukraine. And now Ukraine has become a colony of the United States and can even aim missiles and nuclear weapons at Moscow.
Following that, you have the sneakiest of approaches. The slimiest, the most evil approach that you're about to see is that Chinese propaganda will show their support for peace. And even some of them show their support for Ukraine to say that China doesn't and hasn't taken a stance at all. This is a sophisticated and very evil approach to convince you that China is not the bad guy here, and that you are just lost in this Russia versus Western media fake news madness. So, listen, when I said that, when I made that claim that you're about to see China, CCP shills start to say that China didn't take a side, and in fact, they're going to be the hero in this situation, was I correct?
Absolutely. Now, Virus Jansen over here, who is, by the way, was kind of an official spokesperson for the Beijing Winter Olympics when it comes to foreign, I don't know, influencers, could put it that way. He was being invited to all their opening ceremonies and whatnot in Canada and showing like a blow-by-blow of live streaming how it was all coming together. He's definitely been paid by China. We've shown that he's been paid by China
by
CGTN, by the Chinese state media, to have his videos be put onto Chinese state media. And he did accept money, and he asked them to pay him as a friends and family in order to, fraudulently not pay the fees or whatever, because, it's a professional relationship. The fact of the matter is he is paid by China. And he cannot dispute that.
No.
So he started his whole thing is, and again, it seems like we're being very petty in this episode and going after very specific individuals, but we have to show you how it works. King Ramses II, who you saw earlier, has been putting on his channel and his secondary channel clips from RT, Russia Today, because they cannot be aired at the moment. So he's taking their clips from them and he's boosting it for them.
So Chinese state media shills are working for CGTNs, for Chinese state media, to signal boost banned Russian media.
Correct.
How creepy is that?
It's kind of creepy. And then you got this guy who loves to pretend to be a middleman. But what he does is he stands on the side of the CCP all the way over there with the CCP saying, hey, I'm here in the middle. He's the guy who's, if we're going to be friends and I want peace, if we're going to be friends, we have to let China do whatever the hell it wants. And we cannot ever stand up to anything China does, because that's the only way we're going to have peace. That's him.
And his official stance on this is?
He says in his tweet, I received a lot of feedback on my Russian-Ukraine war YouTube video last night. Thanks to everyone for sharing your opinion. Many people disagreed with my views, and that's okay. Discussion is important. But like I said, #China has an important role in solving this conflict.
Very important for you guys to understand, read between the lines here. What China's now doing with their propaganda is convincing you that everyone's allowed to have their own opinion about the issue, even if they're related to China. You could take Ukraine's side, you could take Russia's side, that's fine. But in the end, China is the actual hero.
You got to watch out for these silver-tongued devils.
It's scary.
Okay? Because they sound reasonable, but what they're saying, and if you read that, is oh, you know what? Yeah, it's not great. But you know what? China's going to come in and save the day.
It's a great opportunity for China.
You know, I replied to him, and this is just straightforward. I said, they already have been playing a big role by supporting Russia, offering them some financial support and a backup, as well as silently endorsing the invasion and encouraging Chinese society to do the same through propaganda and selective reporting. Stop pretending they are the good guys.
The scary thing with, that's a great response. The scary thing with someone like Cyrus Jansen, with this tweet that he's put out and this video that he put out, is that if you watched it, it's not like Barrett. It's not like these very crazy pro-CCP shills. Like you said, it looks like some sort of reasonable opinion. In fact, what you'd come out of that video if you were new to the situation is think, oh, China actually didn't support Russia. Meanwhile, there's empirical proof everywhere that China took Russia's side and is currently supporting Russia in this conflict. And then China even knew about the conflict.
Sure.
But if you watch Cyrus's video or look at his opinion about this, you'd say, oh, they have nothing to do with it. At least they can be mediators in this situation.
Yeah. Oh, it's time. It's China's
bad.
time to shine, to be
That's
the good
bad.
guy. Yeah, come on. It's the same thing with COVID. Oh, China's the good guy because they're actually like getting vaccines out to the world and blah, blah, blah. Not looking at the fact that it was them that allowed it, the CCP allowed it to spread when they knew it was contagious, you know, and then trying to just point the finger everywhere else. It's a bad situation. So now you've seen quite a broad spectrum of the different ways that these tankies and these shills and the Wumao work. And we can cover various different aspects. You've got the blustering, horrible shit people like Dumb Shill, and then you've got someone like who's just clueless and just follows a script like King Ramses II. And you got Virus Jansen over here being the silver-tongued devil who's pretending to be in the middle. And of course, then you've got the anonymous massive army of trolls that just go after you and they're vulgar, disgusting, and sometimes try tricks that try to do psychological tricks on you, which unfortunately just don't work, at least not on me. And it's hilarious. And I've been documenting all the different ways they do it.
Me too.
Maybe write a book about it. It's hilarious.
Oh, I'll probably do videos on it.
Yeah.
It'll be pretty damning for all the people that try this kind of stuff. It's going to look incredibly embarrassing.
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, you can see how they've got all these different bases covered.
Yeah.
And the whole purpose of this is to deflect blame away from China's role in this invasion and this conflict, which is a big role.
Huge.
Because seriously, if Putin did not have China's backing financially and with trade and to bypass sanctions, it wouldn't have happened. It would have really been incredibly difficult for him to go ahead and pull that trigger.
Yep.
You know? So remember, China has and always has played a role in this conflict from the beginning. It's not now their time to shine, you know?
No.
Anyway, I
They'll
guess...
be duped. And don't let your leadership and politicians be duped by this. Again, write your representatives, please. And I'm not making that up. Please write to them.
Yeah.
China's complicit in this.
Here's a funny one, by the way. Just had to throw this in there.
Who is this guy? I didn't know who this Alex from Xinjiang guy was.
He's
I didn't know prior to this, so I looked him up.
Yeah.
And he's a Chinese dude, right?
Yeah.
And he does like straight up propaganda. I don't even think he's hired by CCP. It's too like.
He's like he's a Zhegang Wumao, which we call, which is like a volunteer 50-cent army guy.
But he had some hit pieces against us on his channel, which were quite comical. Funny, But he apparently got demonetized.
Yep, I guess that's what happens if you buy or use bots to boost your channel.
Don't take this as a victory of like Google's finally cracking down on like propaganda and stuff. What this is blatant punishment. This is what happens if you try to buy subscribers or views.
Yeah,
you get shut down.
Yeah, you do. So don't do it. Goodbye, Turkey. Stop. Just saying. Yeah. Anyway, so that's our Wumao corner. We'll do a couple. We're doing a couple super chats, and we're going to hit worldview. So what do you got for us?
Saya says, any chance you would make a video on Guominhai? Well, actually, that's in our worldview. Max says, I don't know. Case Close says, 93 says, Winston, I saw Steven Crowder sharing some of your videos from Twitter. While he has certain views on U.S. politics, he shares your view on China. Yeah,
I don't have any control over who shares my stuff. The more it gets out there, the better, I suppose. So, yeah. It's been very important, the things I've been sharing on Twitter lately, because I've come across this group, which I wasn't aware of. They actually made themselves known to me. Mm-hmm. Because what I've been doing is I've been asking some of my Chinese friends in China to help me put subtitles on these videos that are just going viral around on Chinese social media. Now, the kind of thing that you wouldn't be aware of. Like the woman saying, this is the best day of my life that Russia has invaded the Ukraine. It makes me so happy because that means soon we can invade Taiwan, and Putin's handsome and amazing and such a good leader. Those kind of videos are just, everyone's just watching them and being like, yeah, whatever. But in the West, we don't get to see this stuff.
No.
And most people can't understand Chinese. So if they saw just this woman saying blah, blah, blah in Chinese, they wouldn't know. So I've been getting some of my Chinese friends to, when they come across these videos, go ahead and put some subtitles and send it to me, right?
Yes.
So I've been posting those on Twitter. And I put some of them in my video this week. So the people can see what the sentiments are that are going around. Because it's insane. It's something that would not be accepted anywhere else in the world.
No.
We would not accept this level of vitriol and hatred and support of war anywhere.
No.
But in China, it's just there. And of course, you can't paint all Chinese people with a broad brush like that. But the fact that this stuff is there needs to be called out, needs to be shown.
Yes.
People need to be aware of it, because right now people are ignorant and they just think China's just this place with chopsticks and cheap hours and beautiful history and culture and all that kind of stuff and a big military. They don't understand what's really going on. So I've been putting out a couple of these things on my Twitter, and I got approached by a group called what is it even called? It's like the translation, the Great Translation is what it's called. It's like a hashtag, and what they're doing is they're starting to translate some of this vitriol that you see online and put it out there for people to read.
Yeah.
And one of the most ridiculous things that they found recently is the Wumaos know that they're being translated now, and they've made this new plan. Okay. So they got this plan, and they put it in their little forum post, and they've been sharing it around. And they're like,
interesting.
Their plan is, listen, there are some people, and they say it's probably like Chinese dissidents that are translating the more extreme things we say and sharing it with the West. So our new plan is, let's find people that speak Japanese really well, and we're going to write terrible things about Ukrainian women and stuff in Japanese, so that people think it's actually Japanese people that are terrible and not us.
So slimy.
Yeah, it's slimy, and they're like sharing it around. They say, share this with everyone you know. Find people that can speak Japanese well, because if we use a translation thing, people will know they'll know it's us. So that's their new goal, is to try and shift the blame away from themselves by writing it in Japanese.
That's so
how scummy.
Scummy.
Yeah. And actually,
well, at least it's been documented.
Yeah, it's funny. So if you check out my Twitter, it's all
so
about
if you
that.
see vitriol and hatred coming out of Japan randomly about all these pertinent China topics, then you know exactly what's going on. It's Chinese people doing it to themselves.
Yeah.
It's Wumao.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, what have we got?
Grandman says, have you guys met Xu Xiaodong? No, we haven't. His YouTube channel, but it's only in Chinese.
A personal friend of mine has. And,
yes.
If you look at my channel, I've got a video called Why Kung Fu Masters Keep Getting Beaten Up, something along those lines. I interview him, and he has his own channel, and he's fought with Xu Xiaodong. He's met him a lot. He's gone to his gym. He's a buddy. He knows all about it. So if you want to find out more, you can go to my channel.
Venus Supreme says, communists have always liked tragedy. Going back to Stalin, he was happy that Europe was decimated by World War II and hoped that they had turned to communism. Sario JPN says, Taiwan has reported at least 100+ incursions of CCP aircraft in the past week. Is invasion imminent? Will the CCP go for Senkaku? No, I do not think so. I think, if anything, right now, it buys them some time, because China will use this horrible Ukraine situation as a deterrent. By the way, if anyone thinks that Taiwan is Ukraine, it is not. It is about 50 times harder to invade than Ukraine.
I mean, don't forget, with Russia, you simply roll your tanks over the border.
Yeah.
You can't roll your tanks into Taiwan because there's like some water there.
Taiwan is so set up for defense. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
Joe Crow says, I was in China from 2015 to 2019, and it took time for Xi to enact his crazy schemes. I'll totally agree with that. It was not just when he got into power. It took a little while. But the shift in the atmosphere was palpable, especially in the second and third tier cities. Thanks for you two revealing the truth. And it's only the people that really, of course you guys trust us, but it's only the people that were there at that same time that can really understand that shift. It was like crazy different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not welcoming anymore, you know. Dylan Vienna, hey again, lads. China should be booted off SWIFT. They've helped North Korea and Iran evade sanctions for years too. See Meng Wanzhou. And absolutely agree with you, Dylan.
Yeah.
Why people won't do that? Well, because you're not allowed to be against the Chinese government.
Yeah, why are we allowing Chinese companies to like list on the stock markets and stuff?
No one's barely anyone's doing what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's so obvious.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy.
I'm here. Find me. Is there any nostalgia in China for the Soviet-Russia friendship? Now they're trying to rekindle it. The Soviet-China friendship is a farce. They hated each other.
They went to war.
They went to war, guys.
69. Go look it up. I made a video about
Mao
it.
made bunkers to hide from them.
Yeah, there's a whole underground complex in Beijing called Dixiacheng Underground City, which was made to escape from a Soviet nuclear strike.
Yes.
They hated each other. In the beginning, they were helping each other, and then they were like, hang on a second here.
Correct.
You know?
Correct. So I was saying, Reynolds, have you ever noticed that the same countries that cheat in the Olympics are the cause of chaos and conflicts? You are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
You don't need to cheat if you have nothing to prove.
Yeah.
Right?
So shall we hit worldview?
Sure.
We'll answer everything in Yamcha, don't worry.
Yeah.
So worldview, where we talk about what's happening in the world, especially with regards to China. And how about you start off with this one?
This is let me just pull up my notes so I can get his name correct. Give me a second.
All right, we're waiting.
You just keep on waiting.
And Putin on the Ritz.
Putting on the Ritz. There's Lithuania. There's a bit blah blah. I'll just give you the gist.
Okay.
Swedish Olympian.
Yes.
10,000 meter champion. Got his gold medal. Couldn't say anything when he was in China.
Yes.
But is very outspoken about Chinese human rights issues.
Mm-hmm.
Gave his medal to the daughter of the bookseller that was jailed in China for 10 years.
Yes.
Guo Minhai.
Yeah.
And
isn't it Gui?
Gui Minhai, I'm sorry. And
就是一个鬼，死鬼。
Guo.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I'm not.
鬼佬.
I'm a Gui Lao.
Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, it was a huge slap in the face to the Chinese government because it was an Olympic medal.
Yes.
Something that they covet and cherish so dearly.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be the symbol of you. China gave this to you, and he's giving that away to a dissident, which is fantastic. I thought it was a great gesture.
That's a fantastic gesture. Yeah. Okay, let's see what's next in our worldview.
Niels is his name.
Now, this is my car. Well, it's my Chinese car.
Was your Chinese car?
It looks a bit weird. That's because the air conditioning compressor had died for the 4th time. Mm-hmm. Every year it would die, okay? And every year I would take it back to the dealership and they'd have to replace it or fix it under warranty. And after a while I had to start paying for it. But
Chinese cars are not well made.
No, absolutely not. But that's not the point. I'm just setting it up here. So while I was getting my car fixed, okay, this is around the time, you remember the time with the Diaoyudao, the Senkaku Islands thing, the whole big anti-Japanese riots? So I'm at the dealership. It's a Cherry dealership, by the way. My car was a Cherry dealership. They had where you can buy your oil and you can buy all your like little accessories for your car. They had these stickers there that you could buy too, which the whole point of this is to illustrate how the state endorses these stupid little nationalist things that they do all the time.
This is in direct relation to what they're doing with Russia.
Exactly, just how they've been endorsing Russia like mainstream throughout the entire society. And anyone who says that they haven't is an idiot. Okay, if you can read Chinese and you've been looking at what's going on in the Chinese social media, you've seen, and the Chinese state media, you've seen how much they've been supporting this to the point where it's just front page news. We are supporting Russia. Okay, so anyway, this is what they were doing. It's like 钓鱼岛是中国的, which means there's this tiny little island that's kind of disputed. It actually belongs to Japan right now. It's under the administration of Japan and has been for I don't know how long, like a long time, since before we were all born. Okay.
Yes.
And China's like, no, that's actually our island. It's this tiny rock, but there are some like oil reserves nearby. So of course that's the real reason, right?
Because they found ancient maps.
Yeah, they found an ancient map.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's written in the law that
exactly.
It's Japan.
So anyway, they claim it. Japan claims it. Actually, Taiwan claims it too.
Yeah,
so it's a little complicated, all right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it became this huge thing because at the time there was a big political scandal happening in China. Mm-hmm. So in order to divert attention away from the political scandal, the Bo Xilai scandal, they made this into a big thing.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was never a huge thing.
No.
But they acted, it's funny, the propaganda.
So I took these photos myself, of course, and you can just see, you could buy this crap. Yeah, they've got like a flipping the bird, it's like you Xiao Ruben Guizi, like get the hell off our land type thing. And this, by the way, I have never in my entire life met. Yeah, it says that there. Like they're like little Japanese ghosts, like F your mother and stuff. That's literally in the dealership.
Yeah.
Imagine you could go into your Ford dealership here, and there's like a F Biden and let's go Brandon and F Trump and all this. Imagine you could buy that in the Ford dealer.
In the dealer.
Yeah, and with like vulgar language, because that's what you could buy in the Cherry dealer.
Yep.
Like the official place, the place I bought my car from. Okay.
Good luck.
Where I'm getting my service done.
Good luck putting a Taiwan flag sticker up.
Yeah.
Or a Japan sticker.
Yeah,
Go to jail.
Yeah, you would. So anyway, you've got this absolute crap, and I keep saying, like, you see how strong that fist is? I don't think I've met anyone with such a thick wrist.
That is a
and
thick
certainly never met a Chinese guy who's that thick-wristed, to be honest. So it's a little.
I have a lot of Chinese friends that are much stronger than me.
Yeah, of course, but I'm saying like that. The propaganda of
that Soviet propaganda.
That Soviet propaganda, which shows he's really built, like larger than life, ridiculous-looking men and women that look like they come from Gears of War or something. They're like shrunk down and they're really squat and big.
Yeah,
it's that kind of nonsense.
It's that art
but
style,
this is what you could buy in the dealership, okay, to put on your car. Here, I took photos of like a bunch. You can see next to it there's some like air freshener you can get for your car. And next to it's like, I love China. And the Diaoyu Dao is like, let's take back the Diaoyu Islands and it belongs to us. And F all the Japanese little ghosts and stuff. What kind of crap is this? At the same time, you would see outside of shops, you would see like those LED banners saying like the Diaoyu Dao是中国的 and like screw the Japanese. On Baidu, which is the Google search engine, they had the little island with a Chinese flag and they were like, it belongs to China and all this crap. The entire country, the entire state media, everything, the internet, everything all supported taking back these islands.
It's a distraction.
Yeah, it was a distraction. And you know what? It's been the same with the whole Russia-Ukraine conflict. It's all been like, Russia is great. The US has been meddling with Russia's little brother and it's their little brother. They can take it back because what would you do if a little brother ran away and started to call you names and be bad? You'd teach them a lesson and take them back. That's literally what the freaking news has been saying. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So the whole point of showing these stickers that I photographed when getting my car repaired is to show you just how widespread this nationalist shit permeates within society. And it happened now, and now they're trying to say, oh, no, actually, no, we're not taking sides.
Yep, it's exactly the same. The Russia stuff, we freak out about Russia. It's the same thing. It's a distraction.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, let's move into Yamcha. Okay, and that's this part of the show where we just sit back, relax, have a conversation, drink tea if you've got it. And answer all your questions. For those of you who don't know how it works, we leave this part up for the weekend. On Monday, we cut it out of the show because otherwise the show would be too long.
Yeah.
We cut it out of the show and then we re-upload it for patrons. So there's no paywall. You can watch it on the weekend. You can watch it now. And for those of you who didn't catch us live or catch us on the weekend, thank you for watching. And we'll see you next week. Stay awesome.